Alright, what is up YouTube? It is your boy Havoc, and I'm about to post what's most likely going to be my final video on this channel. Been waiting for it for a while, and it's finally been finished by Jet. And yeah, it's the Elise video. I've been talking about this video for quite some time, and I'm glad that I was finally able to get it done. And yeah, like I said, this is most likely going to be the last video on this channel. I wanted to, for a while, change the direction of the things that I do in my life, make more time for other people, and time for other hobbies and such. And because of that, I decided to basically put down this hobby for the time being. I don't know if I'll ever make YouTube videos again, and I feel like if I do, it's not going to be on this channel. So, also wanted to clarify a few things because this script is very old. It's about 1.5 years old, if not 2 years old. So that's why there are going to be things that look a little weird and things that I say that aren't going to be applicable and haven't been applicable for a while. Like the VTuber, I went through a very, very short VTuber phase. And then, and of course, mention of my old podcast. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this little swan song, and I'm grateful again for Jet making this video for me and finishing up and doing such a great job. But yeah, let's watch me wax lyrical about a ginger from a really bad game. Doodles. I don't know if anyone in my audience is aware of this, I am a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. I've probably pointed it out here and there, but it is a guilty pleasure of mine. The set pieces, the music, the mystical vibe of the story, the villains, the clashes between protagonists, and even some of the albeit cheesy messages in the game. I love it all, despite its imperfections. Above all else, I like the characters in this game. I think they're all written anywhere from fine to amazingly throughout the journey, even though the journey itself is incredibly flawed. But that's another subject entirely. No, today I wanted to talk about a specific character, one that has been known as one of the worst characters in the franchise, and unlike Marine the Raccoon, I genuinely think that that is completely unwarranted. That character is Princess Elise III. I know that I can be a bit of a contrarian sometimes. I'm a fucking Daisy fan. I know where I stand. But I'm serious when it comes to Princess Elise. I genuinely don't know why people hate her. Someone in the comments of my Marine video figured that Marine was actually a better character overall than Elise, and I couldn't disagree more with that. No ill will towards the commenter. I actually appreciate the feedback and discussion a lot, and the more you all chat with me, the more ideas you'll give me for analysis videos, as I enjoy them a lot. They're kind of like the long-winded side quests you take on during the main story of a big game. They aren't the main event like, say, a review, but I'd argue they're just as compelling, if not more so in some cases. Not to mention that I've been watching Super Hedgehog Bros recently, and their fanbase generally believes Princess Elise is worse than every other Sonic character, including Marine the Raccoon, Charmy Bee, and every member of the Deadly Six. Again, no ill will towards them either, but I genuinely think some of you are bandwagoning just a little bit. No, I always liked Elise, and I thought her story was very compelling and somewhat realistic despite her mystical powers and nobility. But I haven't experienced the story of Sonic 06 recently, so I'd like to take a look at it again and answer the question once and for all. Why is Princess Elise the most overhated character in all of Sonic? I've played Sonic 06 quite a few times, like probably an unhealthy amount, so I remember the story pretty well. I'll start writing this script going from memory primarily, but we'll jump in with edits and corrections where applicable. I was about to say that I don't know who's going to edit this video, but I actually do. I know that it's going to be Jet, so feel free to introduce yourself if you have the energy or the patience to do so.
Hey, hi, hello. I'm Jet. Hello, hi. I'm the editor for this video. See a little star next to any text? That's me, by the way.
Elise's story doesn't really start where the game does. It starts some time ago when she's about 10 years old. Her father, the king, is basically trying to play God. He recently lost his wife, the queen, and the loss of the queen hasn't been easy on the two. It's not explained how the queen has died, so I can only assume it was something money couldn't fix, considering that Soliana is a very wealthy kingdom. Like, they had enough funds to not just have one huge castle, but eventually move to an even bigger one amidst a bustling city district and a more European town center. Not to mention the underwater laboratories, vast beachside that the common folk attend regularly, and the money that I know they're making off of tourism, since apparently there's so much that it's an actual export of their country. Imagine that. Your country is such a big deal that a huge chunk of your change comes from people looking at it. Like, Soliana's family was and still is ballin'. But back to Elise II. I think it's safe to say that she most likely died from something that can't be cured through any standard means. Now, the king obviously has incredible knowledge about science and the supernatural, as once the queen passed, his plan was put into action. It's unclear how long it took, but the Solaris prototype had reached an infantile stage. It was nothing more than a small flame, and the king boasted to Elise that it would allow them to travel through time. How they managed to make this happen using their advanced science is also a bit of a mystery, but there was definitely dark magic involved, as the king had a device on standby ready in case he needed to seal that darkness away. This power wasn't just darkness, however, it was also made of destructive light. Chaos? It's possible, since the Chaos Emeralds could be used to do the exact same with the destructive light as the Scepter of Darkness could do to the dark side of Solaris, who we later know as Mephiles. The only difference is that Iblis has to be sealed into the soul of a noble. Perhaps this is some sort of generational blood pact that Iblis, the light side of Solaris, required of the king in order to fully manifest. It's possible that in order to create Solaris, Iblis and Mephiles were necessary to unlock the power of time travel. As time passed, the Solaris project seemed steady and successful, as it grew slowly but surely. Yet one dark day within the depths of the aquatic laboratory, Solaris went nuclear and killed everyone in the labs, except for Elise, who was there for some reason. Alright. As much as I love Sonic 06, I realize that I don't think this stupid shit was ever really talked about. Why the fuck is Elise at the labs? I know that the meta reason is, I know what the meta reason is. She's necessary to seal Iblis away when everything goes wrong. Like, I get that. However, using a lore lens, there's absolutely no reason as to why Elise should be in anywhere near the aquatic labs. Like, at all.
Yeah, no reason other than the fact that a quad base is literally right below the fucking castle, aka her house.
It was already questionable that you showed this fucking tiny demon flame to her the first time, but why was no one watching her? You're underwater. The only way she could have gotten here is if you brought her here your damn self, because the only thing Elise can do power-wise is create fuck you bubbles and commit suicide, and she can't even do that first thing yet. I hope you didn't think that this was all going to be positive. You came to the wrong channel if that's what you thought. Is this how the queen actually died? Did you bring her to the fucking aquatic labs and get her killed too? Like you killed yourself? You fucking chicken nugget. Like, god damn it. I hate this nigga, bro. Like, you want to talk about a complete fucking dookie stain? Look no further than this fuck. And another thing, if you had to bring her here, which you didn't and should not have, then at least get your guards to protect her. Then again, your guards are butt fucking useless too, considering they'd rather play Guess Who and let kids get stuck on roofs and patrol the fucking train station because you think Dr. Eggman is just hanging around Soliana all damn day, even though you quite practically just let him take your monarch on several fucking occasions. Like, what the fuck is the point of a patrol? You know they're not gonna do shit. So this is where things get a little tricky, but I want to cover it now as it explains a bit more of Elise's earlier years, but nothing here really hurts her more than it hurts other characters. And the time-space continuum, but I'm sure you already know that. Once Solaris blows up, it tears itself in two, Iblis and Mephiles. While Shadow goes and hunts down the darkness, Silver challenges the light, and after finding Iblis, the latter uses his Chaos Emerald to seal Iblis away into Elise. It's incredibly inhumane how this responsibility was forced onto Elise, and I never hear anyone talk about it, like never. Sure, it's convoluted how she ended up here, but at the end of the day, she's now burdened with carrying a disastrous flame within her, especially after the king's continuous teachings of her to seal her emotions away, no matter what. We see her practicing this time and time again, and while we don't immediately realize it during Sonic's story and are quick to judge her for not emoting all that much, emphasis on that much because she does show emotion, especially when she's happy, when in reality, she's doing it for survival. It's like Kyoko Kirigiri. Yes, I'm comparing them because they're both queens, pack it the fuck in. She doesn't show emotion much either because of her line of work, but people still love her because she's compelling despite that. In fact, it's that mystery surrounding her that pulls you into her story to begin with. And I think Elise is shrouded in her own mystery that can be enticing too. I think a lot of people would share that sentiment if she were in a much better game, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Returning to the past, Silver is given no choice but to seal Iblis away into Elise with the king's help, and this ends up being his final action. Silver carries Elise out of the lab into what looks like Kingdom Valley, and then leaves her alone by a tree. Oh, I'm getting upset. There are several issues with this, but I'll only touch on a few. Yes, Silver leaves her with the Chaos Emerald, but that's it. How long did it take anyone to find her? Everyone in the labs themselves fucking died. How did she not starve to death? She was unconscious the entire time, which doesn't explain how she knows that Iblis is within her, or how Robotnik knows that she has that power, or how she mistakes Sonic for Silver later since she never saw him. The only thing I can imagine is that a royal soldier or servant found her and found evidence of the ritual on her body somewhere. Perhaps she used her barrier ability accidentally at one point, and that reminded a guard or servant specifically of the experimentation. This is another problem Sonic 06 has, where they consistently break the show don't tell rule, but if I picked apart every little thing Sonic 06 fucks up in its story, I'd be here for a damn month. 10 or so years pass, and Elise is leading a celebration in honor of Solaris, the sun god of Soliana that the people claims protects their empire with its eternal light. Looking back, it seems the ceremony itself was some kind of offering. When she goes to the light the torches, the entire apparatus burns bright pretty quickly. This is a reach, but maybe something within the torches is burning to represent some kind of spiritual ward. Though it's probably not that deep and is just for spectacle, a way of worshipping the sun god, so to speak. Before Elise lights the torches, she gets a vision of the violent, disastrous light called Iblis. It is seen burning the city to the ground, and Elise can do nothing but watch. As anyone else would react, she is incredibly distraught, but it's interesting seeing her floating above the flames instead of being engulfed by them. As if she's the reason this is all happening in the first place. She's the reason everyone's dead. She snapped back to reality by one of her subjects and refocuses on her duties, shrugging the vision off as if nothing happened. Elise finally lights the apparatus and prays to Solaris that the town will always have peace. In hindsight, what happens next is funny because as she is wrapping the ceremony up, the stage is bombarded with explosions and ash. Almost like Solaris has no interest in anything that Elise wants to say. At least, not anymore. The perpetrator is none other than the third best variation of Dr. Ivo Robotnik, who goes by Eggman in this game. Correct me if you want, but I said what I said. He drops off his troops and demands that Elise hands him the Chaos Emerald that she has. His goal is to unlock the secrets of the Flames of Disaster, surely to try and control its power and take over the planet. Now, there have been a few online that don't understand how Elise has the emerald here, but you have to remember that at the time of this story's release, Sonic 06 was a reboot, which means that the new modern timeline starts here. Which means the Chaos Emeralds up until this point have not been gathered together at any point before this one. You could say that Generations pretty much screws up this point I just made, but that really isn't the fault of 06. That's the fault of Generations. So, for the sake of keeping in line with how the writers meant to tell this story, I'm going to deduce that Elise has had the Water Chaos Emerald for 10 years. And there's another point we learn later that makes this even more believable. Well, she's attuned to the Chaos Emeralds and can speak to them, but I'll leave that for later. All seems bleak up until a strong wind throws Robotnik off his game. Enters Sonic the Hedgehog, who seems to be fascinated with either the display of the flame ritual, Eggman's party crash, or both. Elise sees Silver where Sonic stands, and if we were to use the same logic that we use in SA2, then it's not crazy that Elise mistakes Sonic for Silver. This doesn't work though, because Elise didn't see Silver. This could have easily been fixed if the team had a little extra time, but we all know that they didn't. Don't know why he's standing there amidst the flames and rocks either, but that's a nitpick, so I won't stay on that for long. After defeating a few badniks, Sonic scoops up Elise and charges away from the ritual site, outrunning several rockets and beating a few robots close to the town square, though Elise is somehow captured by Robotnik long before Sonic has time to react. This is either a fault of Sonic for being too slow, which is a reoccurring issue in this fucking game, Elise's fault for not crying out sooner, which, honestly, I don't really buy that, or both. I really think this is on Sonic though, since for some reason when he's in-game cutscene mode, which I'll call IGC for now, it takes him 3 fucking years to get moving. Still, even if we were going to fault Elise for being a princess and being captured just like another princess that no one ever fucking complains about, looking at you, Peach, she immediately makes up for it for making sure Eggman doesn't get the Water Emerald. Sonic vows to rescue Elise, and the princess, in incredibly good faith, trusts his promise. While she has been given a bit of reason to perhaps trust him, it is someone she just met. Not everyone would give out this much good faith in such a short amount of time. It teaches you a bit about her trusting nature, and a good monarch should be as trusting as she can be. How else could she perform her duties with the necessary amount of diligence and tact? The next time we see Elise, she is once again practicing her emotional suppression, and we learn something new when we see Elise here. She hears the voice of the king in her head, reminding her to be brave and not to cry no matter what happens. This is actually disturbing if you think about the implications here. Why is the king telling Elise that she can't cry no matter what so early in her childhood? The king died when she was around 8 years old, so he definitely gave her this lesson while she was incredibly young. The Duke himself was fairly old. Is it possible that the king knew if he wasn't successful with the ritual that he'd be forced to seal Iblis into Elise? That would explain why Elise was at the labs in the first place. But maybe she ended up getting away from whoever was watching her? It's hard to tell if the king would need Elise as a vessel if the Solaris project was a success, but something about the king priming Elise for the need to become a vessel against her will is unfathomable to me. Maybe there was a decent writer or two working on this game. Not too long after her bravery training, Sonic and Tails storm the cell that she's trapped within Dusty Desert. She hugs him, happy that he kept her word to him. This, of course, builds up more of the bond the two have to each other, and the goofy hug they share is a nice touch on their newfound friendship. Now, I don't know if I want to immediately say that Elise's panties are moist. I think this was purely a hug out of relief and desire to escape with the boy who rescued her. So again, I'm not bothered by any of this. Before Elise can even consider the idea of getting to know her blue rat a bit better, Robotnik summons the egg something. I don't remember what this one is called. I think it's called the Cerberus, which makes little sense because it has only one head. Something else that needs to be mentioned is that Sonic goes out of his way to block Elise from any kind of threat, like exaggeratively so. This isn't a video about defending the validity of Sonic Cross Elise, even though I do think it's a valid ship, suck me. But the point is, no one is getting to Elise as long as Sonic has anything to say on it. Yes, that's going to be incredibly ironic in a moment. After the Cerberus is defeated, Sonic grumbles the discrepancies of my viewers that pray for the day I stop using clickbait thumbnails.
How long is this gonna go on?
Eggman sends in more troops and Sonic picks Elise up in a, I'm not even kidding when I say this, almost sensual way. Like, I don't know if there's a frame issue or what, but it looks as if Sonic picks up Elise as slowly and intensely as possible while looking into her eyes and reminding her to grip it like there's no fucking tomorrow. Like, she's definitely wetting herself after that, bro. Sonic, relax. I can see why Tails pointed out the sexual tension. Fuck was I waffling about? Sheesh. While Tails is off distracting the robots, Sonic and Elise eventually wind up in Windows 98. I mean, a beautiful meadow. Elise expresses her gratitude, and even though she offers a very cute hair flip, her face in this scene hasn't aged the best. This is one of the 3 cutscene styles this game uses. There's the clean CGI that still looks beautiful to this day, the IGC that uses in-game renders, and then there's what I like to call GGC, the glossy game cutscenes. These cutscenes specifically look uncanny because they're a strange Frankenstein's monster that uses elements of both the CGI and the IGC. Sometimes these cutscenes look okay, especially when focusing on the Mobians, but even then it's incredibly distracting. But dear lord above, do the humans look like straight donkey ass in these scenes. Elise especially, which is crazy because she looks passable in the IGC and absolutely gorgeous in the CGI. How the fuck did they manage to make this woman look like a completely different character in 3 different ways? I'd say this could be a negative in her favor only if she looked uncanny in every instance, but she doesn't. I just wish these GGC scenes didn't exist because they're easily some of the weirdest looking scenes in the entire game. Just use more IGC in that case. When Elise notices that Sonic has a rated E boo-boo, Elise uses her tampon? Seriously, I have no idea what Elise uses to try and heal Sonic, but her first instinct is to try and help him. He was even prepared to let whatever damage he received heal on his own. Not only that, but Elise immediately takes the blame for the harm he encountered, even though it wasn't her fault at all. Hell, during the Dusty Desert stage, Elise continued to protect him from the quicksand using her shield ability that I don't think is outright explained, at least not yet. But you have to use it in order to beat the stage, so it still happened. Now, while I personally think Sonic should have just told Elise the truth, that it wasn't her fault by any means, maybe he knew that Elise may not have immediately believed it. I have my own friends that hear me say things and go out of their way to hear something completely different. So Sonic cutting to the chase here works well enough, though I don't think this way of going about things is great for every situation. If you have a friend that's threatening to drink themselves under the table because they're unhappy, don't just tell them to smile. That's not gonna fucking work. A butterfly lands on Sonic's nose, and Elise marvels at its beauty before telling it to get lost. Sonic is tough, or at least he acts tough, as he claims Elise's smile is all he needs. Sonic doesn't know that Elise needs to keep her chin up for the sake of Iblis. But it makes sense that Sonic would want to spread positivity wherever he goes, as that's kind of his thing. But dear Lord, when he says that, it really makes me stop and think that Sonic has a crush on her. Like, bro, that was cheesier than shreds on your chili dog. S-T-O-P. After a trot through the grass, Sonic asks Elise about the flames of disaster, and learns that the great fire that caused the death of her father and the other scientists. This was most likely a story that she was told, as she even admits to not remembering it well. And while we see the manifestation of Iblis in the background, we already know that that's not exactly what happened. She begins to fall into despair again when she realizes that Robotnik wants to use those flames for his own evil schemes. When Sonic sees this, he grabs her arm and starts jogging, yanking her forward aggressively. Honestly, I don't know what to really be impressed by here. Sonic's recklessness, as I don't think he ever tries something this dangerous with a human after this point, or the fact that Elise has enough durability to not lose her entire limb while he's doing this. I also love how this romantic ass music is playing in the background. Yet every time I see this scene, I get really fucking nervous despite knowing how it ends. After their brisk run, Sonic gets the outcome he's looking for. Elise isn't concerned about her prior troubles anymore, and is instead reveling in the fact and the amazing speed she experienced. Looking back at this scene as I write this script, it's actually kind of bizarre seeing Sonic share his love for speed with Elise. If Elise was ever rebooted in the lore, it would be awesome for Sega to make her a speed type and have some kind of romantic love for running fast. Hell, if Sega doesn't do it, I sure as hell will. But the lesson Sonic shares with Elise is really good, and she becomes a braver person because of it, which in turn helps her to better defend her people by bolstering her happiness once again. And the lesson itself is one people don't pay attention to because it's in Sonic fucking 06. Giving yourself time to worry is when you lose. And this is often a lesson men specifically have to learn. Sometimes bad things happen, and it can often be out of your control. But letting yourself worry is the first step to letting the hardship win. Sometimes doing something you love is just the thing you need to get yourself out of whatever slump you were in. It may not make things better immediately, but at the very least, your despair will crack. And that's a very important thing. It's almost like Elise isn't a bad character or something. When Sonic and Elise return to Castletown, they're attacked by Best Boy Silver the Hedgehog, who accuses Sonic of being the Iblis trigger. It's funny because it seems that Elise has forgotten about Silver at this point, or at least still believes that Sonic is Silver. Though there's also a chance that Elise has completely dismissed a connection at all, which is incredibly fucking convenient for this scene. Again, this discrepancy could have been fixed if they just removed that entire flashback scene that didn't even happen. There are so many unused Chekhov's guns here that I feel like I may end up tripping over one. Sonic, of course, goes right back to protecting her, and Elise shows nothing but concern for her savior. It's honestly really cute. Before the next scene happens, I really need to know what the fuck the guards were doing before this shit goes down. Because right now the square is quiet, even though it'll be bustling very soon. Eggman is still on the loose, and due to Elise trying to stay away from the piss-easy boss fight, in both directions mind you, occurring in the square, so when Silver canonically kicks Sonic's ass, Elise is easily recaptured. I'm starting to think that everyone in this game suffers from CHS. Can't hear shit. Eggman's loud-ass, finger-ass, hand-ass thing is loud as fuck. And you're telling me that your panties are so moist watching Sonic fight for his life that you can't at least yell again? Or move? Like, how are you so distracted that you can't hear those fucking big arms? Like, shit needs more WD-40 than Retromat54 does on any episode of the Rooftop Experience. Oh yeah, subscribe to Rooftop Experience so you get no bitches. But no, I can't forgive Elise not at least reacting to the arms making all that noise behind her. If they weren't meant to be that loud, then that's on the fault of the audio mixers. But as it stands, Elise is just fucking deaf. Sometime later, we find out that Elise is being held in White Acropolis, and Sonic is forced to part with the Water Chaos Emerald that he's been holding on to all this time. Elise desperately tries to protect Sonic, telling him not to fall for the obvious trap, but we all know the kind of person Sonic is. Bro, if you're gonna be a selfless person, you better know how to protect yourself, because people will always find a way to take advantage of you, and that is evident here when Robotnik sends Sonic to the fucking back rooms using his Solaris prototype. To his credit though, Elise isn't hurt afterwards, so there's that. Elise is visibly upset by this, being forced to watch helplessly as Sonic is sent to who knows where. I mean, we know where, but that's not the point. She was also visibly upset by the mention of the Sun God's name, which no doubt sparked a memory from the days of when her father was still alive. This is where we learn more of Eggman's plan. He wants to use the flames of disaster to strengthen the power of the prototype, and requires Elise's power to do so. Pay close attention to this part here, because Elise isn't going to react the same way again later. She looks unhappy and full of despair, though she remembers the teachings of her father and puts on her poker face. I think it will be a nice touch for there to be more space in this particular cell so that she can run around a bit, putting Sonic's lesson into practice. But there's definitely a such thing as learning lessons too soon, or at least that's what I believe. Usually, it takes a bit of time for a lesson to truly hit home, at least for most people. So maybe that's why they didn't go that route. Thankfully, another queen runs into our heroine as Elise makes a break for it. How Elise gets away isn't explained, but she got away, so that's another W for her. You could infer that Eggman isn't there anymore, because despite what the last cutscene showed us, he has his hand in several pies at the moment. Not only does he have bases all over the place, but he also interacts with the members of Team Dark too. Nice callback to SA2, by the way. Whoever he has guarding Elise did a really shit job, and it would be hilarious if it was Egg Genesis, as not only did it let Elise leave, but it also dropped the Chaos Emerald Robotnik gave to it. Why did Robotnik... You know what, this isn't about him. The bottom line is, Amy helped Elise back to New City because Amy Rose is the best. I don't make the rules. Did I mention I love Lisa Ortiz? Because I do. She's a fucking legend. After Elise displays gratitude to Amy for rescuing her, like the saint she is, the Pink Mouse realizes that Elise is the princess, and while someone is most likely not on their way to rescue her, as that would require the guards to actually fucking work, Elise remembers that she was given great advice that aided in her escape. And while repeating one-liners is fun and all, that doesn't explain how you just opened the damn door and walked out. Like, was the door never fucking locked? Again, if that's what you're trying to convince me of, game, that just aids my point further and makes Robotnik look stupid. This is when we fully get an idea of Elise's romantic interest in Sonic. And it's hilarious because even though Amy is gassing up Elise's confidence, she has no idea that they're after the same dude. I still look back at this shit and smirk. The writers knew what they were doing with this, if nothing else. Now, it's a little fuzzy, as when I went to look up these cutscenes, we go from the cutscene with Amy immediately to another where Sonic just rescued her from the train death trap Robotnik set for her. This is what I have editors for, I guess. But if I remember correctly, Robotnik just gets her back sometime before Sonic returns to the past and tossed her into one of the trains on his way back to one of his many bases. Stop me if I end up getting any of this out of order.
Finally, I've been waiting so patiently for you to return, Princess.
So you mean to tell me that Robotnik just finds Elise, captures her again without anyone knowing, and even though we know he needs her power, he traps her in a separate train that is set to blow up if Sonic can't clear the tracks in time? What the fuck are you doing, you idiot? I'm about to revise my damn top 5 if you keep this up. What the hell was the point of doing all of this? Do you need her or not? Make up your mind! And you know what's funny? This is still no fault of Elise's. If she's just being guarded, If she just isn't being guarded, then that's down to the incompetence of her fucking guards. Who the hell hired these people? I love how people say Elise is constantly captured and we don't even see one of them. It just happens and we're expected to just accept it. Like, oh, she got captured again, deal with it, suck my nuts. Back to Radical Train, Sonic has rescued Elise once more, and the princess expresses more gratitude, letting him know that she had no doubts that he'd come to her aid again. She believes him that much. Unfortunately, Best Boy has returned, and caps harder than his life depends on it as soon as he opens his mouth. Elise expresses concern for her hero, stepping back and letting him do his thing, all while the hero protects her with his body once more. Though, as much as I am starting to love 06 Sonic more because of this video, yeah, Jet, you told me so, blow me.
Pull down your pants.
Glizzy Overdrive.
He's still no match for Silver, and Elise is captured for a 4th time, though it's only the 3rd time we get to see happen. And this time, Elise actually reacts. And not only does she react, she actually tries to run away this time. Put some respect on my queen's name. Oh, you don't believe me? In one scene, we see her looking to the left when Eggman appears again, and after she is grabbed, she's now looking away from the egg pod, which means she actually attempted to retreat here. Oh, Havoc, that's just coincidence. Funny how shit is only a coincidence when trying to say something positive about this game, but anything negative is fair play and doesn't need a damn explanations. Fuck off. Elise isn't staying Eggman's prisoner this time, and threatens to jump from the egg pod. Now, you could say that this is really silly on Elise's part, as if she dies, Iblis will bring chaos to the world. But she doesn't know that. All she knows is that she has a power that Robotnik wants to harness, and most likely sees her own death as a way to keep that power out of his hands. You can call it reckless, but working off the knowledge that she does, it does make sense. So we can go ahead and add selfless to the list as well as a bit reckless. Thankfully, Sonic was there to catch her and escape with her after taking out a second Egg Genesis robot. Hell, Sonic is the paragon of goodness in this game apparently, so if he says that Elise had guts, then I guess she does have guts after all. Eat your fucking heart out. After a fairly awkward exchange, more of Robotnik's goons follow them and the two escape into the jungle where Elise keeps Sonic from drowning. Once through the forest, a beautiful CGI cutscene plays, and I get to look at my queen in all her ginger glory. Sonic says that Elise should go back to the castle, and while Elise knows that's probably the safest bet, even though in hindsight it really isn't, she gets visibly upset. So Sonic cheers her up by taking her to a beautiful clearing where flowers fall freely over the lakeside. Even now, this cutscene looks beautiful, and I wouldn't be surprised if a good chunk of the budget went to this scene. Elise asks Sonic a question that's been bugging her. She asks if he'll leave once Robotnik has been defeated, and he answers honestly, he will have to leave. He doesn't make excuses or try to sugarcoat anything. He simply nods his head. This scene in particular made me really appreciate their dynamic, because Elise already knew the answer and takes it in stride. Because this overall adventure has been great, and while she's been captured tons of times, she isn't complaining. She isn't angry. She isn't even sad after hearing that this book doesn't have infinite pages. She's happy that she finally had a break from being a stuffy monarch. She has nothing but love for her citizens and her country, despite its flaws, which is more than some leaders can say. She even still has love for her mother and father, the latter of which really doesn't deserve it. She's been able to be a girl, and that's something she's never had a chance to do, an adventure she'll remember for a lifetime. And that foundation is enough to keep her going. Remember this. Remember this! Speaking of remembering, Sonic also vows to never forget Soliana, and he promises that he will never forget it. Something that I wish they had actually implemented in this scene is allowing Elise to cry here, but the tears not releasing Iblis. The reason that I say that is because Elise was definitely about to cry, but she was obviously very happy. I think the idea that Iblis is released from tears of sadness versus tears of joy would be an amazing twist to the narrative. In fact, I think they kind of did, because Elise did have to wipe her eye. Maybe it has to be waterworks and not just a tear or two. It's hard to tell.
Princess Elise, ruler of Soliana, by refusing to negotiate with me,
Hey, Eggman's back, and he's threatening to destroy the city. Well, since everyone hates Elise getting kidnapped so much, I guess Elise should just say something really diabolical, like, I don't care what happens to this city, right? That's obvious what you niggas want, since she isn't allowed to be kidnapped. Like imagine someone gets stabbed 28 times.
28 stabs.
Ooh, I guess it's all their fault they got stabbed, huh? Victim blaming is insane to me. But no, because Elise is a noble ruler that loves her country, she allows herself to be kidnapped. And of course, no one stops her. Granted, it would result in their demise, so I hardly blame them this time in particular. And Elise has become incredibly brave by this point. She's already been bottling up her emotions all these years and has been taking things in stride over the course of this entire story. Sonic and her father have constantly been reminding her to keep her chin up, and she's constantly reminded that she has a power that she didn't ask for. I wonder why I'm putting so much emphasis on that. It's a mystery. When Elise is on his ship, Robotnik discloses more data on Solaris as an entity. Solaris is basically a god that was made by man, allowing the ability to traverse and manipulate time itself. While a single Chaos Emerald is powerful, that alone is insufficient. Eggman requires all 7 to unlock Solaris' true potential. That would explain why it took Chaos Emeralds to seal both the light and dark of Solaris in the past. They can manipulate Solaris to an extent, but not completely. Just as they're approaching their destination, the engines of Eggman's ship begin to malfunction for no good reason. Like, it's never explained why the ship explodes. It just does. We don't see the transformation immediately, but seeing Silver emblaze with Sonic just after Elise is dead makes me wonder if Kingdom Valley turned into Flame Core in the future. But just as Sonic is ready to throw in the towel, Silver reminds him that time travel is bullshit. I mean, they can travel through time to get to Eggman's aquatic base right before his ship can take off. Sonic thanks Silver for the suggestion and leaves his Sky Chaos Emerald with Silver after opening a Chaos Rift. His destination being several hours or so in the past so he can hitch a ride on Robotnik's ship. A quick side note is something I both love and hate about selfless characters. Sonic is so incredibly positive towards Silver before he jumps into the portal, and even offered him some good faith right before their Kingdom Valley tag team, despite the dude trying to kill him on 2 separate occasions for reasons he has yet to fully understand. I love it because we seriously do need more selfless people like Sonic on this planet, but I hate it because I want to aspire to be that way too, and I often find myself stumbling. But honestly, I'd say that's a pretty great problem to have. To know that you are a selfless person and feel like the moments that you aren't being that way equate to moments you aren't being yourself. Like, it really hits different when you say that you're going to do something for a friend at a later date, and they respond by saying, I know you will. Like, that shit feels fucking good, dude, but ugh. Enough about me, back to Elise. Sonic uses a continue to apprehend Robotnik, and once Elise sees him, she rushes over to his side. No more being timid, no more hesitation. She's no longer afraid of Robotnik, and stands proud next to her hero. May I also note that when Robotnik turns around while the sirens shower him in ominous red lighting that I got chills? Like, for a split second, I thought he was about to start breathing hard and screaming for Snively. Relax, Mike! After one final stand with the Egg Wyvern, Sonic and Elise make one final escape off the crashing ship. Sonic doesn't immediately see a way out, but Elise spots one from the wreckage that they can hop to. Sonic is surprised that Elise was so quick to keep the ball rolling, but Elise reminds Sonic that there's no time for worrying when you're in motion. That's probably the entire theme of Sonic 06 right there, if not the entire series. And it came out of the mouth of someone who was supposed to be the worst Sonic character ever. Get the fuck out of here, bro! Sonic trusts in Elise and jumps into the wreckage, which honestly looked like a really fun set piece that could be, great to play. But before Sonic could reach the cliff, he begins to fall again. Elise holds on to him tight, accepting that these could be her final fleeting moments with him. But at least those moments were with the boy she had fallen for. Thankfully, a chunk of the ship ignited, sending Sonic and Elise back into the air and safely over the cliff. What do you do when you realize that you almost fucking died? You start laughing. Elise's smile is so big and beautiful that Sonic can't help but give her a thumbs up and a wink, with the latter being so damn confident that she returns the gesture and they're so cute. On their way back to the castle, Sonic and Elise are blinded by the Darkness Chaos Emerald, or the purple one, and this gives Mephiles a chance to jump Sonic. Remember how Elise holds the light half of Solaris? Mephiles is the dark half, and has been trying his best to release Iblis to become Solaris. Long story short, that was Silver's only job, and he blew it. So Mephiles had to step in and get things done. He knew how much Elise loved Sonic and realized that all it took was Sonic losing his life to release the flames of disaster once again. It's actually pretty ironic that Mephiles and Silver kept calling Sonic the Iblis Trigger, but the reason was something we could have never imagined at all up until Sonic and Elise began interacting together. Having to lose someone so close to you like this, and it breaking your heart. Imagine you got them back only to have to lose them once again soon after. Might honestly make me have a moment of weakness. Mephiles combines with Iblis and becomes Solaris, sending all the Mobians and Elise to a floating island in the recesses of space. I'd argue that the reason for this is that the Chaos Emeralds are protecting them, as they all have a connection to either Chaos Energy themselves, like Silver and Knuckles, or are close to someone that has connection to the Chaos Emeralds in some way, like Rouge and Omega. Whatever the case may be, they're all here, and Solaris doesn't seem to be able to get rid of them for the time being. Another wonderful note here is the sad version of his world that plays here, that represents Sonic's lost spirit. The way that everyone reacts to how he's touched them over the course of the game, if not however long they've all known each other in this new canon, really melds well with this scene, and Elise holding him close symbolizes how close they've become too. Hell, not even Amy can get in between them. The realization of Mephiles' true schemes all come together in this scene too. Eggman, Iblis, and even Mephiles' plea to Shadow about wanton vengeance against humanity. None of it really mattered. The real end goal was to manipulate anyone he could in order to conjoin with Iblis again. I can make a whole video on why I love Iblis, bro, but that's for a later date. Another great aspect to note is how his world begins playing again when Silver tries to psych everyone back up. It makes it feel like his world isn't just Sonic's theme, but the theme of the entire adventure, and of course, it technically is. But you don't really hear his world in the other two episodes outside of the result theme and after the other protagonists' songs play. But maybe that was done on purpose to once again represent that his world is always going to be the overarching theme of this game in general. Shadow notes that defeating Solaris may have been possible if Sonic was still here, which prompts Sonic's spirit to remind Elise that he is still there. Sonic is connected to the Emeralds as well, so it can be deduced that he was trapped within the distortion along with everyone else. If that was their intention, that's a crazy oversight on Mephiles' part. Though there is a chance that Mephiles wasn't counting on everyone being gathered on that island to begin with, nor Elise having the courage to try and salvage the situation once she realized Sonic was still there. I'm probably giving this game a little too much credit, but still, stick with me here. In the end, it took Elise's courage to rally everyone together to not give up on Sonic just yet. Silver pipes up next, suggesting that Elise can speak to the emeralds and pray to the miracle gems so that Sonic can get back on his feet. Now, it's a stretch that Elise can perform this ritual to begin with, as Silver kind of just says one similar ritual can then be used to perform another. But if I were to squint real hard, you could say she's taking Sonic's soul and sealing it back into Sonic. Well, I feel like I'd believe it more if Silver worded it like that, but tomato potato. After this pep talk, Elise vows to see it through. What a fucking hero. The others head off into other sections of the time break, leaving Elise to watch over Sonic. Even Amy, the woman that loves Sonic more than life itself, trusts Elise to keep him safe, and so she does just that. After the emeralds are collected, Elise prays to the emeralds, asking them to right her father's sin, to bring Sonic back, and to, save this world. That's crazy. So this confirms Elise's true feelings about the planet. She's calm, collected, and she's in her element currently. Her words were she wishes to save this world, and she doesn't care what happens to her. It would be really stupid to imagine that if she said something completely different while in a state of despair or weakness, it would equate to those negative feelings completely negating what she just said here. In fact, you could argue that if she did say something against the proclamation she just made, that it isn't how she actually feels. Why am I bringing this up? That's such a random thing to point out. Elise expresses even more gratitude to him and desires to give back the kindness that she's been given. She kisses him as a prince would do a princess, except in reverse. She likes him, and he has grown a connection to her too. Does he have romantic feelings for her as well? Hard to say, as this romance was written about as well as most shonen romances. But the idea of this scene was obviously a callback to Sleeping Beauty, and I don't know why no one is smart enough to see that. She is literally a princess, and she sees him as her prince. There's nothing wrong with this kiss. Grow up and go the fuck outside. I can't believe people fucking complain about something as insignificant as a kiss, dude. Like, if Sonic really was bothered by the kiss, he had ample chances to speak up. In fact, not only does he not comment or complain about the kiss, he shows gratitude. Maybe it was more so for saving his life, but do you really think he cares as much about being kissed by a human as some of you do? He doesn't, bro. Like, he does, no, bro. He doesn't, bro. If you guys actually knew anything about Sonic the Hedgehog, you know that Sonic Team has tried shipping Sonic with humans before. Madonna ring a bell to anyone? No? Of course fucking not. After the Hedgehogs take down Solaris, time begins to unwind itself back to its normal state, and everyone disappears. Everyone except Sonic and Elise. It seems the two of them were connected to Solaris all along. Why their connection is so strong is a mystery. Perhaps it's the fact that they're both so attuned with the Chaos Emeralds. The Emeralds sent them here, answering Elise's prayer. It's going to take Elise and Sonic both to close this chapter once and for all. We go back to Elise's youth one last time, seeing her and the king in front of the first glimmer that is Solaris. The king describes Solaris as the flame of hope, a creation that can help their people correct mistakes and avoid bitter fate. Elise asks her father if they'll be able to see Elise's mother, and the king offers an empty promise, hoping to reunite their family once again. We see now why the king went through with this to begin with. Grief led him to try and play God, and I personally do feel for him. The king was no saint, but his desire was one that came from the heart, if nothing else. A smooth transition brings Sonic and adult Elise to the spot that the latter and her father had just left. Elise's theme plays once again, a sad plea crossing her mind as she realizes what must be done. Putting out the flame means that Solaris will never come to exist, but that also means that Sonic and Elise will never meet. The boy she loves, that was taken from her and brought back again after an aching act of bravery. Everything she's been through has come back to this one moment where her hero stands before her, speechless. Years of being told she isn't allowed to be sad. She isn't allowed to feel lonely. She can't fight off her enemies. She was captured again and again and again and again and again. The amazing adventure and moments of respite from her princess duties. All of it was about to disappear at that moment. Her mask falls, and she's finally given the privilege of faltering for once in her entire life. She has a moment of weakness, and everyone shits on her. Sure, she said she's telling the truth, but all of her actions go against this being the case. The gratitude, the bravery, the selflessness, the smiles, the laughs, her refusal to give up. Knowing that she has the ability to finally express her pain, she lets it out here. And it's so contradictory. If you were paying attention and not going out of your way to find glitches and listening to YouTubers to formulate your opinions for you, ironic I know, but stick with me, you would know that her saying this doesn't make any goddamn sense. Call it a rushed line. Call it Tails the Fox levels of inconsistency. Though I'd argue Tails is way worse when it comes to that. But you can't call this an absolute depiction of who she is as a character. If that's the case, then Shadow is still an evil douchebag. Amy is still nothing but a damsel in distress. And Knuckles is still a bumbling buffoon. Oh, what's that? I can't base my entire opinion of a character on one fucking action? Damn, must be fucking nice! I'm not even giving Elise a pass on this. It was a moment of weakness. Even though she doesn't mean it, she still should have just said what she meant. She obviously wanted to say that she loved him, and quite frankly, that would have been better. Have Elise say something along the lines of, I can't do it, Sonic, because I love you. If Sonic Team really did want Sonic to reciprocate some kind of affection towards her, you could have him say, I love you too, which is why you have to do it. If not, have Sonic respond by saying, I know, which is why you know you have to do it. You can still sneak a, remember, just smile in there. But this would have kept all the themes of the story solid, and her love for him would make the blowing of the candle that much more important, because of the old saying, if you love something, set it free. If Elise doesn't blow the candle out, this entire ordeal will start again, and that could just lead to Sonic's death once more. And Elise doesn't want that. Of course she doesn't want that. Just a little more time could have worked, but a moment of weakness still works. It's not enough to say that she's a bad character. By that logic, every character that says something harsh a singular time is a bad character. Bite me. After Elise recovers from her moment of weakness, Sonic reminds her of that beautiful smile he loves so much. Another rewrite here is that Sonic reminds her of their promise before, about how he won't forget this place. Elise might try to tell him that he won't remember her, and Sonic tells her that they can start over, that this isn't goodbye, it's see you later. So Elise would say, see you later, Sonic the Hedgehog, and then blow the candles out. Don't hire me, Sega, my talents would be ultimately wasted there. Watch me actually work with Sega in the future though, bro. My god, fucking shit. Time has been reverted after Elise blew the candle out, and the Festival of Solaris has once again returned to Soliana, but it seems that the festival itself has been changed up a bit. Maybe instead of celebrating Solaris, they're celebrating something different. But when you know it, Sonic kept his promise to remember Soliana, and was there for the celebration, watching from the sidelines and knocking one of Elise's feathers loose with his speedy commute. She knows that the wind feels familiar, and it makes her even happier, and Sonic is pretty happy too. Whether he was called to Soliana due to remembering the events of 06, which I'm convinced that he does, or because of some other supernatural force, Elise's story ends on a happy note, as it should, as she deserves. Okay, so I got a bone to pick with all you niggas. Here I was going back to this game for like the 11th time, thinking that I was fucking crazy. I was like, what if I'm actually remembering this character wrong? What if I'm actually what if I'm actually the fuck all that? Y'all gaslit the shit out of me. This happens every time. Every time I play any fucking thing, I got a handful of shitheads telling me I'm wrong and I'm remembering shit incorrectly. I come through every scene with Elise in it, and the only thing I'm counting against her, if you actually paid the fuck attention to this game, this point really ain't fucking fair, is what she said in her moment of weakness, that she didn't care about what happened to the world. I am not victim blaming, so stuff the kidnappings up your ass. I'm not counting her kissing the boy she loves against her. Try the fuck again. What the fuck else is there? That she looks kind of shit in the glossy cutscenes? Bro, nothing looks right in those cutscenes. Nothing. Elise is not a bad character. She's not. In fact, I'd argue none of the main characters are bad. She's definitely top 5, but she isn't a terrible character. Like, I love the fans I have that are from Super Hedgehog Bros, and none of this frustration is for you guys. All of my vitriol is for the people that gaslit me into thinking this character was some fucking serial killer. Like, where's the bad character? Where is she? She ain't here, that's for sure. Wasting my damn time confirming something I already fucking knew. I'm so glad I could eat my fucking microphone. Wow, fucking shit. Ugh. That long character analysis is finally over, and honestly, I'm gonna have fun rewatching this one. Despite being a little annoyed here and there for this video, I genuinely enjoyed experiencing this story at a new angle. It almost feels like a whole new game, and it makes me wish that 06 specifically got some sort of sequel. And honestly, a lot of the, frustration, anger, and whatever the fuck else, it was pretty much just for comedic purposes. Like, I already kind of went into this knowing that I was still going to like Elise by the end of this, but I ended up liking her more. But what do you all think of this video? What do you think of Princess Elise? Do you like her? Do you hate her? Please let me know in the comments. And if you still hate her after all of this, that's perfectly fine. That's your right. I really don't care. Just please give me legit criticisms. That's all I ask. I'll see you all on the flip side. Peace out, goons.